Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Paul here. How did you go with the first lesson where we worked on our name art? Do you remember we jumped into the Sketches app and we created some name art like mine here and we decorated it with pages shapes? Love to see what yours turned out like. I hope you learnt a few new things and new brushes in the Sketches app. It certainly is an amazing app to draw. Today we're looking at creating patterns. So you can see here we've got lots of different patterns. We've got a chicken, two eggs, chicken, two eggs. Patterns are things that keep reoccurring, keep going and repeating. And we've got some colours at the top. You might like to have a look around your house and have a look and see where there are patterns in your house. There's actually patterns everywhere when you take a close look. But today we're going to practice our drawing inside our workbook. We don't need to use the Sketches app. Today we're going to go inside and look for our drawing tools inside Pages. And I do that by pressing the plus, the little picture icon at the top, and then if you go right down to the bottom, you'll be able to see a little squiggly line, and that means drawing. Down the bottom, we've got some really great tools. Do you remember in the last lesson, I always like to have a bit of a play, so I might change the colour and have a look and see what these do. Oh, yep, that's that. If I touch that, it gets a bit thicker. Oh, that could come in handy. I've got a pencil. Got a crayon. Oh, that's not good. I wonder what this one is. If I draw a shape, it kind of creates a shape. Oh, and then I've got my eraser. Okay, that could come in handy. I wonder what this thing is. It looks like a bit of a lasso. Oh, it looks like I can lasso things and duplicate. That's interesting. I wonder if that could help us with our patterns today. Interesting. Right down the bottom left-hand corner, down the bottom of my page to the left, I've got my little back arrow. That's always good when I make a mistake or try new things and it doesn't work out. Okay, let's have a go at making a pattern. I might use just a simple drawing. I'm going to have a go at a really thick brush. And I might start by just creating a very simple pattern at the top. And it could be circle, circle, circle. Or it's more of an oval shape, isn't it? And then I might go with a different colour and do squiggle, squiggle, squiggle. And then go back to my purple. This might be hard to find. And we'll do three more. And then we might do three more, because we know that patterns keep going. Not sure if that's the right colour either, but we'll keep going anyway. That's pretty close. So that's a bit of a pattern. That's pretty good. Let's see if we can use some of these other tools to create a pattern. I might use a blue colour, and this time I'm going to use this tool down the bottom, and this is a great way of creating shapes. So I'm going to create a really interesting shape. Oh. Now when you use this tool, you've got to try and get back to the start. Oh, that's a really interesting shape. But I don't think I'll be able to draw it exactly again. So maybe I could use this lasso tool, go around, and duplicate. Duplicate's kind of like another word for copy. Now if I actually move it, I've got two. Let's do one more shape and then we'll see if we can create a really interesting pattern. I like my purple. I'm going to go with that same tool. This time I'm going to make a interesting kind of flowery shape. Almost looks like a hand. Oh, that's a good little flower. And I might use my lasso tool, duplicate it, and move it up to the top. And all of a sudden, I've got a really interesting pattern with some interesting shapes happening. I can duplicate again, and duplicate again by tapping on my screen, or maybe tapping on that first and now duplicating. And all of a sudden I've got a pattern of my blue squiggle, two purple flowers, and then two squiggles. So I'm creating some really great patterns. I'd love to see what kind of patterns you're creating and you can repeat. Oh, I've got some more room for a pattern. I might try and do something else for this one. I'm going to press done at the top, and I'm going to bring in one of my favourite Keynote, not Keynote shapes, pages shape. So I'm going to bring in a page shape, and I'm going to have a go at using one of my shapes to help me draw something. I'm not sure if I like any of those ones. Or I might choose a pear and see if this helps me draw a pear, because sometimes it's good to use a guide to draw. So now I can go up to my plus, I can go to my pictures and my drawing, and I might have a go at drawing a purple pear. If I use my fingers, I can actually zoom in. Oh, that's going to really help. And then I'm going to try and chase without my pencil or my finger leaving the iPad, which is really hard. This would really take some good tracing skills. I'm going pretty well. Oh, that's pretty good. And I'll press done at the top, and now I can move, and I've got a drawing that looks a little bit like a pear. So I might copy that, and I might paste it a few times, and paste again by tapping my finger on the screen, and I'll delete my first one, and I've got some drawn pears. They're not as good as the page shapes, but they're pretty good. And I've created a little bit of a pattern, but it's not really a pattern, it's a bit of a boring pattern. So I might do something. I might make small, big, and I might make a small, and I might make a big. That looks pretty good, and I could keep that pattern going. So I actually used a pages shape, which you can also get in Keynote. I used a shape to help me with my drawing skills. That's something that you might like to try. I wonder what shapes you could select and help trace. Really interesting. That might come in handy later on. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. Today we looked at patterns, and we looked at a couple of things. We looked at all of the different tools down the bottom. So all the different tools down the bottom, we used a couple of our favorites there, and we even learnt about this lasso tool, which is kind of our select tool, which is really, really important when we want to do different things with our artwork. I'll see you next lesson. Next lesson we're going on a photo walk, so please join us for the next lesson.